Welcome back to the Lightforge podcast, March of the Lich King Arena card review. This is ADWCTA, and we are on to Rogue. This is the most fun class in this expansion, hands down, because we have concoctions. So, before I explain what any of these cards do, I need to explain what concoctions are. So this video may take a while, or this podcast may take a while. Concoctions are a new mechanic for Rogue. And what a concoction is, you know what, I'm just going to explain it with one of the cards first. So the first most basic card is a concoctor, which is a common card. It is a 1-mana 1/2 minion, and it says battle cry, add a random concoction to your hand. What are concoctions? Concoctions are spells. They are 3-mana spells. But the special thing about concoctions is if you have one concoction and then you add another concoction into your hand, they magically combine their abilities and you get 2 abilities for the same mana cost. If you get like 3 and 4, the third and fourth one would then combine. So they don't all combine into one and make one super spell. But effectively, you want to get more than one concoction and combine them. But the concoctions themselves are actually just kind of normal spells. So even if you have just one concoction, you kind of just have like an okay spell that you can play anyway. So here are the concoctions. Slimy Concoction, 3 mana, summon a random 3-cost minion. Okay, this is not good. Second one, Dreadful Concoction, 3 mana, destroy a random enemy minion. Hey, Deadly Shot, that's pretty good. Third one, Bubbling Concoction, 3 mana, deal 3 damage. Okay, not very good again. Hazy Concoction, 3 mana, add a card to your hand from another class. It costs 3 less. That's not bad at all. And finally, Gleaming Concoction, 3 mana, draw 2 cards. Arcane Intellect. That's okay. So you get kind of an iffy card. Like, they're not current power levels of spells, but they're not like terrible or unplayable. They're all like D to C tier level cards. With Dreadful Concoction probably being the best. So that is a concoction. And a concoctor, and remember, the concoctions add on to each other. So if you get 2 concoctions, it will still cost 3 mana. It'll just do 2 things. So, with that being said, the first card we're going to review is Concoctor. That's a 1-mana 1/2 battle cry, add a random concoction to your hand. This one is an A-tier card. Remember, I think there was another minion, I forgot where it was earlier, that was also a 1-mana 1/2 that added some kind of like spell to your hand, and that got rated an A as well. It's just very good. When you spend 1 mana and you get a spell, that's pretty normal. That's like a C-tier card. If you also get an on-curve minion, that's insanely good. Like, you can't get much more than that with a 1-mana card. So Concoctor, very good, A-tier card. There's more where this comes from. Concoctions are generally pretty good. The next one, the next concoction card, we'll do this one. This one's another A-tier card. This one's epic. You won't see it a lot, but this is also a very good concoction card. It's Biothecary. 3 mana, 2/4 undead. At the end of your turn, add a random concoction to your hand. So it's almost an on-curve minion, and you already get a random concoction into your hand from just playing it. If it survives a turn, you get another concoction to your hand, and this could potentially snowball. This is obviously better than Concoctor. A-tier is kind of a large band. This is a pretty high A-tier, not quite A+, but pretty high A-tier card. Concoctor is like barely an A-tier card. So yeah, Biothecary. What other concoction cards are there? There's more concoction cards. Okay, here's a normal concoction card. This one is Potion Belt. It's a rare card. 2 mana. Discover 2 concoctions. This one's rated B tier. So it's still very good. For 2 mana, basically get 2 cards. Discovering 2 concoctions means that you have a very good chance of getting a Deadly Shot, which is the good one. And when you discover 2 concoctions, they magically combine together. So you're getting like 3 more manas like worth of stuff. It's like 2 mana, get a card that saves you 3 mana. You're getting a mana, and then they combine spell stuff. So this one is B tier. What other concoction stuff do we have? Okay, Ghoulish Alchemist. This one's not, I mean, it's concoction related, so we'll talk about it. It's D+, like a croc level. A little better than a croc level. It's 2 mana, 3/2 undead. Battlecry, your next concoction costs 0 mana. So it's a pure synergy card. You have to get a concoction for it to happen, but whenever your next one hits, it costs 0 mana. If you notice so far, though, it's not really that easy to get concoctions. Concoctor is the only common one. Potion Belt is rare. And biothecary is epic. So from an arena perspective, it's not like concoctions are everywhere. Like, that's why this card isn't rated higher than you may think. Because we just don't expect you to have that many concoctions. Now, that being said, this is a forever ability. Your next one just eventually costs 0. So we'll see how often you get concoctions. But in current predictions, we don't think you're going to get that many concoctions to consistently be able to use this ability. Alright, so I think those are the concoction cards, but there's also very good not concoction cards. The best card, in fact, in Rogue isn't even a concoction card. The best card in Rogue is an A+ card. That's pretty good. That's almost an S tier card. This is a card you gotta watch out for. And it is Noxious Infiltrator. It is a rare card, 4 mana, 2/5 poisonous, which is okay. Battlecry. If a friendly undead died after your last turn, deal 1 damage to a minion. That basically means hard remove a minion. Because it has poisonous. So if the minion does not have a divine shield, it is dead. So it has a synergy with the undead that adds a assassinate onto this card. And it is otherwise a 2/5 poisonous. And a 2/5 poisonous means that it is above curve, like just by itself. Because for curve, you're really considering not dealing damage to the face, but how you trade with minions. And this one's effectively an infinity attack 5 health minion for 4 mana. And that'll trade well with any 4 mana drop. It'll either trade evenly or it'll eat it. And it'll definitely trade evenly with any 5 drop, but it could potentially eat a 5 drop too if it's like a 4/6 or something, or a 4/7. So Noxious Infiltrator is a very good card. This is a A+ tier card. Besides that, other good cards. We have some B tier cards that also don't have anything to do with concoctions. Ghostly Strike is a common card. This was very basic. 1 mana, deal 1 damage, combo, draw a card. So you will play it as a combo. It is only 1 mana. It is very easily comboed, but it means you can't use it as a combo starter. But whatever. If you're not like desperate for combo starter cards, this one's just 1 mana, draw a card, and you get to deal 1 free damage. That's a good card. Chad is saying better Shiv. Yeah, I mean, it is a 1 mana Shiv. Then you have the epic card, Scourge Illusionist. This one's also rated B. 4 mana, 4/4 undead. Death Rattle, add a 4/4 copy of another Death Rattle minion in your deck to your hand. It costs 4 less. That's good. A 4/4 copy of another Death Rattle minion in your deck to your hand. So if it's like a very high costing Death Rattle card, then this is not as good. But if it's a very low costing Death Rattle card, like 4 or less, then it is free. So you're not just getting another card, you're getting like a free card. You just have to have a Death Rattle minion in your deck. That being said, this is kind of off curve in the beginning. It has to die for this to happen. There's some RNG involved in what you get. You know, you can get either potentially a very small minion, or you can get a large minion that will still cost mana for you to put out. No matter what, though, it's always good. It's a B tier card. Part of the reason why it's not higher is because you don't really have that many Death Rattle minions in your deck. If you just think of how many Death Rattle minions you have in a typical arena draft, it's like 3. So, you know, plenty of times you don't have any left in your deck when by the time you play this and trigger it. Not like the majority of times, but it's enough to really affect its value. One more card. It's the common one. The worst for last. It is Rotten Rodent. Rotten Rodent is a 2-mana 2/1 undead beast. Battle Cry, reduce the cost of all Death Rattle cards in your deck by 1. That is great if you are constructed and all your cards are Death Rattle cards. In Arena, like I said, you're just not going to have that many Death Rattle cards. I remember Reborn is not a Death Rattle. So this is a 2-mana 2/1 that maybe reduces some mana later on. Maybe. Who knows how much later on? It doesn't even reduce the cost in your hand. It's only in your deck. This one's an F tier card. It's bad. Alright, so that's Rogue, besides the legendary cards. The concoctions are very interesting. I'm certainly excited about them, and it's one of the few sets in which you actually want to play Rogue. Usually Rogue stuff is weird, it's very constructed leaning, it doesn't really work in Arena, or it's very boring for the things that do work in the Arena. But here, this is a whole mechanic that functions in the Arena, probably better than in Construct, not better than Constructed, but it at least functions in Arena. And it's pretty interesting. So, and very powerful. And there's also other powerful Rogue cards coming in. So this is a very good set for Rogue. Let's look at the legendary cards. The legendary cards, the first one is Shadow of Demise. It is a spell that says each time you cast a spell, transform this into a copy of it. So it'll always be whatever the last spell you cast is. This is a D+. It's not that you can't get something good with it eventually, it's just that oftentimes when you cast a spell, you don't really want to do it again. Like, if you just drawn a bunch of cards with the spell, you don't want to draw all the cards again. If you just hard remove something, you probably don't want to hard remove another thing. Like, maybe you do, they play 2 big things back to back. But oftentimes you don't. It also gets overwritten. You don't get to save what you want it to be. It just gets overwritten. So if you ever play like a bad spell, then for a while you can't use this card. It's just very situational. So it's a D+. Spells are good still. And you can play your best spell and then play this afterwards, whether it fits or not. But overall, it's a D+. And the last card is another legendary. This one's really good. This is a A-tier card, A-tier legendary card. It is Potion Master Putricide. It is a 2-mana 1/4 undead. After a minion dies, add a concoction to your hand. Remember, concoctions are super good. And after a minion dies, add a concoction to your hand. Means any minion, not just friendly minions, including opponent's minions. You can get a lot of concoctions with this guy. Alright. That's Rogue. I will see you guys in the next one. We are going to do Shaman. Until then, this is ADWCTA.